Yo, what's going on out there, YouTube? This is SCL0320 representing JVS. So I'm back here again for another review. This is a review for Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. This is the very first spinoff from the Fast and Furious franchise, frontlining your boy Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Hobbs, and of course Jason Statham as Shaw. And this was directed by David Leitch. He's directed Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, and he's kind of got an unaccredited co-director for the original John Wick 1. And for me, I thought this was really fun. I thought this was actually a really fun action film. The funny thing about this, out of all the Fast and Furious films, this has the most humor that I think organically works because, you know, The Rock is fast in terms of his speech just as much as he is fluid with his strength. And then Jason Statham is stylistically acrobatic, but he also is very cheeky and very in your face and a trash talker. And as you've seen from the other three movies that they've been in together, that Shaw and Deckard Shaw and of course your boy Luke Hobbs hate each other. And they use that so many different moments, and I don't think it goes too far till I think when it counts towards the third act, certain stuff gets them in to, you know, preserve the peace, protect, and do certain other things that I can't really spoil. But I think that they do have a lot of chemistry. I think they play off each other very well personally. I don't know if I would say who has the most standout out of the two. I think that they both give an equal measure of characterization. They try to humanize both of these characters that, in my personal opinion, are what made the franchise, the Fast and Furious franchise as a whole, superhuman, super out there, espionage-esque, because, you know, The Rock is huge and he's like a blunt instrument, and Shaw is like an unstoppable force to be reckoned with that is basically a ghost. And you know what I'm saying, of course they dealt with initially with the brother, and of course before they dealt with the mom. They played a role into the 8th movie, but in this one it's very different because you kind of strip from certain things that kind of cement them who they are, because then you get introduced to Shaw's sister, and on top of that they delve a little bit deeper into who Hobbs really is, like underneath like the blood and bones that your boy, God rest his soul, Paul Walker's character, Brian, used to call him. But I think that they do a really good job of humanizing him. I think it was actually really needed if they're going to move him forward with any kind of spin-offs whatsoever. The other thing I would say is a plus. I think that your boy Idris does a really good job as a villain, because I was sitting there wondering, I was like, is he going to be over the top? Is he going to be dumb? I think that kind of what I said about Chiwetel Ejiofor's personification of Scar in The Lion King, that he just went for it. You know what I'm saying? I think that Idris really just went for it. He had a lot of fun with the certain evil undertones, and it seems at times it didn't come off too campy. Sometimes it was a little cheesy, but you know, he has some subtle moments that was kind of like, yo, this dude is nuts. And not just that, from a physicality standpoint, if you think about what, from I guess Fast 5 all the way up until what The Rock has done, and even thinking about, you know, Furious 7 all the way up until what Jason Statham's character has done, like, you wouldn't want to sit there and fight either one of these guys one-on-one, period, because they are a force to be reckoned with. Like, you can't really fight them. The crew as a whole, like the Fast and Furious crew, they're a good crew. You know, they'll go and they'll steal stuff and get the job done. They're great at racing and great with cars, but they're not hand-to-hand combat minus Dom and minus Brian. So there's like, to have either one of these, like, you have to have somebody that can physically go hand-to-hand with them. And your boy Idris has gone through, you know, MMA fighting, and he's had hand-to-hand combat training, he's had, you know, tactical weapons training, and so they utilize that. They utilize that pretty well, and it's just really interesting the fine-tuned modification they did to his body to make him be able to combat them on equal measure, which sounds crazy, because when you think about what, you know, your boy especially Hobbs literally took a turret and walked it all the way down a whole tunnel just to fire at an actual helicopter. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is something that actually did happen. But Idris does some amazing things, you know, technically, VFX wise, and of course, some practical effects. And I think that's where David Lynch comes in hand with this one. From a hand-to-hand combat standpoint and from an action standpoint, you're gonna get your money's worth. Like, there's definitely an equal measure of great action fighting moments, especially towards the third and second act. Some good car racing moments. Not so much like car racing in the conventional sense, but some great chase moments, some great moments where your boy Deckard Shaw is able to really showcase his style. And I think it's the best of both worlds situation. Some people are going to count this as kind of a cash grab because it's taken from all these different kind of elements. But one thing that I will say, that there are some surprises in this one. There's some surprise cameos that you're not gonna predict what they are. Unless they get spoiled to you, you're not gonna predict what they are. And there's some funny moments. There's a moment on a plane, there's a moment in a diner, and then there's also a moment, I don't want to spoil the other moment, but there's some really key, hilarious moments of other outside characters that kind of get brought in, and I was kind of like, wait, what? But yeah, there's another thing that I thought was really interesting was there's an underlying theme going on of like a force that I don't either one they've delved into a little bit, but they're definitely ramping it up in this one. And I don't know if there's enough payoff for it from a written standpoint. Like, it was written very well to push us somewhere, but then when there's actually maybe 3 post-credit scenes, none of which really go into what that other element is. And it's definitely tied to Idris. It's definitely tied to all the surrounding characters, and they don't go anywhere with it. And it makes me wonder if, you know, the beef that they had kind of rumored with Vin Diesel and The Rock is actually true, because I think that it would have definitely been a slam dunk if they would have went a little bit deeper into what this other element is and where we're going with this, because they really don't really go anywhere. Now, I think one of the post-credit scenes is pretty funny, but the other ones is kind of redundant, and the other one didn't really serve as anything to me personally. But they also, like I said, they did add in Shaw's sister, and I think that they did some really good job as far as the physicality, as far as the connections between the two men, and it's really interesting what they do with her character, and I think she's definitely a really good add to this movie in terms of kind of counterbalancing certain things that are happening from action beat, from emotional beat. She's kind of like the catalyst in and of itself as well, because of something that happens very early on in the movie. But again, I think this is very fun, but there's definitely some interesting surprises that I think you're gonna enjoy. I mean, but it's not anything perfect. Like, I mean, I definitely think that there's certain moments that are a little over campy. Some moments, especially those end credit scenes, that don't service like what they're trying to set up, and it kind of brings the movie down to almost a forgettable standpoint, but it's really not, because it's still a really fun time. And if you've enjoyed the overtopness of some of the things they've done in these Fast and Furious movies, I think you're gonna really enjoy it. I think you'll have a really fun time with it, and I definitely think that the chemistry is there between The Rock and Jason Statham, and they definitely play that up to the utmost, and the action that they are able to do together, definitely amazing. But again, some of the actions is just not realistic. It's never been. Like, after Fast 5, none of the action, you know, is realistic in the long run. But it doesn't mean that it's still not fun. But that's all I can really say for right now. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. I actually did enjoy it. I would definitely watch it again, if not more than just watching the banter between The Rock and Jason Statham, but even more so than that, the action beats that do happen. It's really cool. I do think that the very beginning is a little on the nose camp, the very beginning. But then they do set up some really interesting things in the beginning too. So I think it's, for all the negatives and nitpicks that I'm talking about, I think it's still a really fun time. It's just, I don't know if it merits another spinoff, to be quite honest with you. They have to go deeper into what they were trying to set up in this movie to merit a spinoff for me. And huge shout out, I just had to do this plug real quick. Huge shout out to my man NF. His new album, The Search. If you don't know, definitely go and check it out. Amazing hip hop artist. Definitely also a believer, but he has right now the #1 album on iTunes, so definitely go and check it out if you get a chance to. But hopefully you enjoyed this review. Make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell button. Got more reviews coming your way. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Have a blessed one, guys. Peace.